So October of 16, I went to get my annual Pap and breast exam. A week later, I got called back to state that my mammogram came back abnormal and they wanted to see if I would come back in for another picture. So I came back in the next week. I had a second mammogram. So they said, we're going to give you an ultrasound as well with this mammogram. So the doctor came in and explained to me that the ultrasound seen 2 pictures, whereas the mammogram only seen 1. So the next week I came in, they gave me another mammogram, then they gave me another ultrasound. They had seen 2 spots. However, that first week, prior week, they only showed 1 spot on the ultrasound. So the doctor was prepared to do the biopsy on that one area. He stated that he wasn't alarmed, but now that we were into the second picture, that both spots showed up, both on the mammogram and the ultrasound. So he says, well, while I'm doing that one biopsy, can I do both areas? I said, sure. This happened on a Thursday. He said, well, we should get the results back in a day or so. So over the weekend, I was nervous about the biopsy, even though the doctor had told me it was nothing to be worried about. Someone called me and said, your doctor's office will contact you for you to come in for your results. I said, well, why can't you tell me my results? They said, well, your doctor would tell you. So I called my OB doctor and I asked him, did he get the results? He says, well, they didn't give you the results. He said, how soon can you be there? I said, I'll be there in 20 minutes. He calls me back and he says, well, you had your mammogram and I seen where they had a concern. He says, well, you have cancer. I said, what do you mean I have cancer? And he says, well, you know, this is what the results show. And I was at a loss for words. I turned red as a beet. I was bawling like a baby. He says, don't go anywhere. I want to see if I can get a colleague in this office to talk with you in the building. He came back, he said, we have a doctor that can see you within the hour. I said, okay. I couldn't gain my composure. I stayed in the room for about 15 minutes just crying. As I left the doctor's office, they were trying to say something to me. I didn't hear anything. So as I go home to pick up my son to take him to work, first thing he says, well, Mom, how was your doctor's appointment? I said, well, son, it wasn't that good. He said, well, what could be wrong? I said, I have cancer. So I told him to have a good day after that, and knowing that he wasn't going to have a good day, I went back to the doctor's office to wait for my appointment. I was numb. I couldn't even think of anything. So she told me that they would get the results of what stage I was at, and normally they don't find out the stages until after they remove it, but per the picture, I was at a stage 1. So they came back and they found out that I had triple negative. She says, well, we have time. We'll wait till after the holidays. I found out I had cancer on November 7th. She said, we'll wait till after the holidays to do the surgery. I said, no, if you said triple negative is aggressive, I want it done as soon as possible. She says, oh, you can wait. I said, no, I don't want to wait. And I didn't wait. I had my surgery December 19th. I opted to get a double mastectomy. And January 13th, I started chemo, had 16 rounds of chemo. I finished chemo June 6th. I went in expecting the worst because when I hear cancer, I thought the worst. My father had died in 2010 of lung cancer. So immediately before chemo, I just knew that I was going to look bad, feel bad, be sick, not able to care for myself. I thought the worst. I didn't have a mother or a father. Both had previously passed. All I had was a 13-year-old daughter at that time, and a 21-year-old son who is disabled. But without parents, I had a entourage of people going to doctor's appointments with me, helping me, caring for me, fixing me food, calls, phone calls, cards, everything, you name it. I never felt alone. But as I started the chemo treatments, I just knew that I was going to be sick. I went in thinking, oh, I'm going to be really sick. Not one time did I get sick. Not one time did I throw up. Every 3 days after chemo, I would get tired. That's the most that I had to deal with. This next statement I'm going to say may sound anal. The worst part of cancer for me was losing my hair. Everything that the doctors told me that I was going to go through, I did. Losing my hair, I was expecting it. I always kept my hair cut short, pixie cut. People say, well, you always kept a short cut. And I would say to them, what's the difference between short and bald? One, you have a choice, the other one you don't. So I had a friend cut my hair lower. No, before I did that, I said, I just want to feel pretty before I go through chemo because I don't know what it's going to do to my body. My girlfriend fixed my hair. They did makeup. I had a photo shoot. All my friends, my kids, just had a wonderful time. And those pictures got so many hits on Facebook of how pretty I looked. I thought that I would never look that way again because I didn't know what I was going to go through. But as I cut my hair down, they said after my second treatment that my hair would fall out. Yeah, it did. I went to my girlfriend, I went back to her, I said, go ahead, cut me bald, because I showered that morning, and when I showered, hair was just in my hands as I washed my hair, and I didn't want to look at it. She shaved me, I put on a day scarf. I went from a day scarf to a night scarf for 2 months. My children didn't see me without my scarf. I didn't see me without my scarf. One day I got out the shower and I wiped the mirror and I seen my head. I cried as if they had just told me I had cancer again. That was the biggest shock, even though I was trying to prepare myself. It's just like saying, a person is sick and they're going to pass. Even though you know that you would like to relieve that pressure from a person, you're still going to be in shock when it happens. So that's how I felt when I seen my head. My daughter walked in on me one day without my scarf on as I was getting dressed. And I told her she took away my option for sharing it with you. She walked in and she said, Mom, you're still beautiful. And I said, thank you. And she told me, don't cry because, your hair don't make you. And it's not that I thought that my hair made me. It was just, that was just everything to me at that point. And I asked myself, am I a coward for not showing my head because I know I have cancer? And I had someone say to me, everybody deals with things differently. Even in the process of finding out I had cancer, I wanted to feel human enough to let everybody know I'm scared. I trust God, but I'm brave enough to tell God I'm scared. I asked him why, and I know we're not to question why. And a cousin of mine who's a pastor, he says, why not you? I said, after all I've been through, I've had 2 rotator surgeries, I had a knee replacement, I've had all kind of ailments where my 12-year-old daughter had to take care of me, dress me before school, take care of me and her brother. You know, I was already down. I said, now I got cancer. What else is next? And when I told my daughter I had cancer, she says, why you, Mom? Why everything happened so bad to you? Now I know that it was to share my testimony. I take having had cancer, because I'm cancer-free, as a badge of honor to know that I did make it through. I have mentored to people. I've talked to people. I did not join groups because I didn't know if it was going to be a pity party or what. But I learned to realize now that somebody can learn from your experience. And my experience have taken me to a different height. And I'm thankful and honored that I am a survivor.